Here we are, friends. Here we go. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day. Happy to have you with us just after high noon. May I be the first to say a good afternoon. Let's get things lumbering under our own weight. It's episode 532 of the proceedings here today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Friday, March 15. Beware the Ides of March. We also call today Brutus Sucks Day because, he kind of turned his back on good old Caesar. On this day back in, I don't know when it was. I have no idea what year it was.
Caesar turned his back on Brutus and regretted it.
Yeah, that's kind of the deal. Epitomized and memorialized in the fabulous Shakespeare historical drama. Anyway, it is March 15, 2024. It's payday for some of you. Congratulations, if that be the case. For some of us, it's just the middle of the month. It's tournament time for a lot of folks in the city as the SEC basketball tournament is ongoing. What else is going on? It's free agency time in the NFL ranks for those of you who follow the foosball. And for those of us who follow politics, it's silly season. From now until November, things are going to get very, very fun. And I choose to believe that. I choose to look at it that way. I understand that the future of the United States of America potentially could be at stake. I fully understand the drama and the stakes that exist in this presidential contest. I fully expect that, as they say, I think Brian Wilson has said this in the past, the long knives will be coming out against Donald Trump, the same old suspects, the same old subjects, the same old talking points. From now that it has been decided by the voters of this country that the best nominees for their respective political parties, and trust me, you're talking to a guy that would love to see more political parties involved in the process, certainly at the presidential level and even on the state and local levels. Now that we have decided that Donald J. Trump will be, for the third time in a row, the Republican nominee, and Joe Biden, for the second time, will be the Democrat nominee, now the game is on. Now, I understand that there are other players in the game, obviously. Robert F. Kennedy will be a factor, no question.
Give me a break.
Nah, it's true, Joe Biden, and I think that he will hurt the Democrats more than he hurt the Republicans, but you know what? He's going to take some votes from Trump, too. For those that believe that COVID-19 is on the ballot this November, and I think to some it certainly is. By the way, COVID-19, note this day 4 years ago. More on that in a moment. For some, that matters more than anything else. There is a general spirit of distrust in the government, whether it be through our election processes, through the manner in which government serves or does not serve the American people, the manner in which it confronts issues, very, very important issues like foreign entanglements or southern border security or energy policy or our economics, our sad inflationary rate today. Sadly, a lot of people have turned away from, not for us, because Super Talk 99.7 WTN, I don't want to besmirch the good name of the family that we have at this radio station, and I am so proud to consider myself just a small part of it. But it is a fact that a lot of people have turned their backs on politics. And they've done so because they do not believe that regardless of how they vote, that they will get the outcomes that they wish to achieve. What outcomes? What outcomes? I am as guilty as anyone else of allowing social media to become reality for me. Inasmuch that we are on and engaged with social media, and in our business, in what we do as a radio station, as an information and opinion radio station, obviously, as a talk show host, what I do on a regular basis, I engage on social media, and it's easy to, sadly, come to believe that social media actually represents the viewpoints of the world and or the country, and it doesn't. It doesn't. But for the most part, people, when they consider politics and when they consider elections, they want to vote themselves the freedom and the ability and the responsibility to live a life of their own choosing. to succeed or to fail based on their own effort, their own determination, their own talents. I believe for the most part there are those people that exist. Some sadly will go to the polls and vote themselves from the largesse of government. They have decided their best methodology in terms of finding their best life is to blame others on any trials or tribulations that they've gone through. And they've decided to vote for themselves certain amounts from the Treasury. They're doing that for their own benefit and for selfishness. We all have decisions to make. I start the show today kind of reflective of where we are and where we're going. And sadly, because politics comes at us a mile a second, I mean, it's just so much information, absolute fire hose of information. And because of that, it can get overwhelming. And that overwhelming nature of the way that the media works today, combined and overlaid with the politics of 2024, can cause people to turn away from it. But now is the time when people turn back to it to get re-engaged and to begin the ascent up the mountain. And that mountain is the 2024 presidential election. I'm excited for it. I hope you're excited for it. I will attempt to let me back up. At the beginning of the year, and I never talked about this on the air, at the beginning of the year, and I failed in so many ways in doing this. I have failed in my one singular New Year's resolution. My resolution from a professional level or on a professional level was to try to become more of a joyful warrior for freedom and liberty in the United States. More of a joyful warrior for the state of Tennessee. And I fail regularly. I get frustrated regularly. I get angry regularly. Angry is a perfectly acceptable response to some of the things that are going on around us. But I'm going to recommit on this March 15th to be more of a joyful warrior for you. Whether we agree or disagree on individual issues, my approach is to bring you more freedom, more liberty, and more ability in your life to make your life and the life of your family every single thing you want it in the United States of America. Without fear of reprisal or without force from government. And with that in mind, March 15th is also, you know what happened 4 years ago today? I was not in Nashville when it happened, but it happened almost simultaneously in Birmingham, Alabama, where I was engaged in a radio show. Today is the anniversary of the shutdowns. It was, and the redheaded stranger told me this earlier today. I did not know it. It was 4 years ago today that John Cooper, then the mayor of Nashville, announced that he was leaving the decision as to how to handle the COVID-19 pandemic to the health department in Nashville, and apparently they decided to immediately shut things down. And very soon after, there was a cascade effect all across the United States of America. I remember it as if it were yesterday, and it's almost hard to believe that it was 4 years ago that this happened. Remember 2 weeks to stop the spread? Belkay just laughed. 2 weeks to stop the spread, baby.
It's just, especially with hindsight being 2020, it was just so ludicrous.
What a load of garbage.
How many things in his life has Fauci gotten wrong? Not just his professional decisions, but his personal decisions.
There's a lot. There's a lot. And if there's any man that deserves to be in jail, the man's name is Anthony Fauci. He deserves to be under the jail because he lied to the American people and cost lives as a result. But I do remember that. I remember government telling us, look,
science.
We don't want to do this. We don't want to do this, but we have to do it. They did the same thing in Birmingham. The city of Birmingham handed over decision-making to the Jefferson County Health Department. And I'll never forget it. I'm like, well, this is an unelected dude in an unelected post. Well, he knows science.
Highest paid bureaucrat in the country.
Was Fauci, correct? And apparently it happened in a similar fashion in the city of Nashville. They just handed over the decision-making. The elected officials that we put in charge to make these sort of decisions handed those decisions over. And at the time, people like me and people probably like you, and I admit it, I said, look, I understand I understand the history of quote-unquote pandemics. I understand how influenza works. I understand that we're dealing with something that they're telling us is new and novel and different. So, yeah, I mean, we should err on the side of caution for a hot minute. Well, the government got a taste of that level of control, and they just took over. And were it not for Donald Trump, were it not, and I understand that you can give a lot of criticism to Donald Trump for not firing Fauci, and that criticism's warranted. If there was one decision that I think Donald Trump would like to take back, it would be that he was advised not to fire Anthony Fauci once COVID-19 came to our shores because of China, because of Wuhan, because of the laboratory, because ultimately of the funding of the gain-of-function research that was going on in that laboratory from the American government and the NIH. Through Anthony Fauci. Yes, Bill?
There is one country that had the lowest per capita death rate in Europe, and that was Sweden. And they never had a lockdown.
Well, here's what you do, and here's what I do remember saying this, and there's a recording of it somewhere. I don't know where it is. And this was at the end of March of 2020 when I said this. I remember because I noted it and I regularly repeated it at the time that I was on air in Birmingham. There's only one way out of this, and that is for people to get infected. I said then, and I say now. Pardon me. I don't know why. I guess it's allergies, why I'm draining. I'm not sick. Well, I'm not medically sick. I'm a sicko. So we went over at the end of March, my then radio partner and myself, Andrea Lindenberg, we went over how all of this works historically. And we went over the concepts of herd immunity and how you have to take the strongest in the herd in any system and create immunity within that system in order to ultimately overcome. At the beginning, we knew what we now know, and that is you protect those who are least able to fight it off, the very, very young and the very, very old and the susceptible and those with pre-existing conditions, and you let everybody else go about their business and let them get sick, and yes, some of them will die. You do everything you can possibly do to protect those who are most susceptible.
You mean like stuff them in nursing homes?
No, not like stuff them in nursing homes.
Oh.
You have to achieve that in any natural system. But government intervened along the way and suggested to us and lied to us and told us that they had a vaccine. And they used that word. That word means something, too. It doesn't mean anything to most people anymore. You know, there was a time when you said vaccine, and that meant, oh, you take that and you won't get that. That's what it meant. You take the polio vaccine, you don't get polio. You take the smallpox vaccine, guess what you don't get? Smallpox.
Measles, mumps, all that
there
stuff.
You go. But sadly, because government was so engaged in gaining control of the general population and demanding that you do what they told you, they just lied. Oh, and I can play the clips. I won't bother you with them. Oh, you take the vaccine and you won't get it. You won't get COVID-19. They said at the beginning. Not true. Not true. I'm not saying that the vaccine did not have some level of efficacy on the severity of the symptoms, because for some people it did. And for some people it killed them. They didn't tell you that on the front side, did they? No, they didn't tell you that. We now know that on the backside, though, and they still won't admit it. So 4 years.
What continues to stun me is, you were talking about Fauci needing to go to jail, and I can completely agree with that. But you look at somebody like Cuomo, who made all these decisions, put all these people in nursing homes, had a death rate that just spiraled. His decision-making was the direct cause of people dying. And there's absolutely no comeuppance. There's no justice. He makes these decisions, people die, and he walks away into the sunset.
He walks away. He eventually gets snagged with sexual harassment charges against him, but he walks away from the real crime. And that is grandma and grandpa die. I listened to Joy Reid the other night. Believe it or not, I listened to this garbage so you don't have to. Explain to her 14 viewers or however many she has over on MSNBC that it was Donald Trump's fault that people died in nursing homes. It was Donald Trump's fault that people died without their family in the rooms. I said a minute ago that I wanted to be more of a joyful warrior. It's difficult in the face of that garbage because it's not just that she's lying. She knows she's lying. That's what a lie is, saying something that you know not to be true at the time that you say it. Donald Trump, the liberals were demanding that Donald Trump shut everything down nationally. He refused to do that. And sadly, many of the executives in the various states did it anyway. Anyway, we can talk about it. Obviously, it's a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Anything's on the table for you on the telephones at 615-737-9986. It was not my intent to exclusively discuss it. However, I would note that 4 years have gone by. 4 years, and still the American government has not come clean. 4 years, and still we don't have the real truth about the efficacy of the vaccines. 4 years, and still we don't have the real dope about what happened and why it happened with Anthony Fauci and his quote-unquote team. But we do know this. We know that his initial reaction was to lie to the American people and tell the American people that this was nothing more than a bat meat problem that created a dynamic by which for months we did not believe that this was an issue that we needed to take necessarily seriously because we don't eat bat meat. And I think people died as a result. And people died as a result. And lives were permanently changed and permanently altered because the government decided to try to take control over our lives as opposed to manage the epidemic and the pandemic in a scientific fashion.
And now that little bastard is just off enjoying his retirement.
Oh, yeah. But we have this coming. He'll die soon, too. So we got that to look forward to, which is nice. We also have the entirety of the show to look forward to include Fri Jay with Jay St. Clair at 1 o'clock. He will reflect on what the Fannie Willis decision means for the future of the prosecution of the case in Georgia. Obviously, we'll dive into that. I think it's a great day for Donald Trump. I think it's a great day for Donald Trump. The media is trying to spin it, but I think it's a great day. I'll explain why. We'll tell you a local story that we first covered here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll give you an update on Jeff Roy and Roy's Meat Service. I'm anticipating a conversation with Jeff sometime next week. I've got another interview to tell you about next week that we'll have in studio. Excited about that. Plus, it's Friday Mac Attack. Bell K's participating. He's behind the glass. He's choosing not to participate on the television side of things. However, TV side is up and running. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Episode 532 is entitled...
Very simple. Matt Murphy and First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Fri Jay and Mac Attack inbound. Libertarian lunch, noon to 3. Big Macs.
Big Macs?
Big Macs.
We have Big Macs?
No, Mac is our Big Mac. He's our Big Macs.
Man, I used to love a Big Mac when I used to eat fast food. You love a Big Mac. I'm hungry. I don't know if you could tell.
Sorry.
Do you know what we're doing for Friday Mac Attack, by the way? Do you know what the subject is?
Why would I know that?
Why would we know right before?
Is it 5 minutes before Mac Attack?
No, apparently it's not. I've got some ideas. I can throw some ideas out at him, but I'm not going to. I'm going to let it's his man. It's not Friday Murph Attack. It's Friday Mac Attack on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and it's 12:24 on Super Talk. I mean, I know you want to wish that your AC will never go up in smoke, but it will. At some point, your AC will give up the ghost and you have to get a new one. When that happens, Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, they're there for you, and they can help find the right one for you, whether it's, Mitsubishi Electric. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric. They can also help you out with the Rheem line of products. They are an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they've got a lot of different items to choose from in both of those categories. The bottom line is this, folks. It is maintenance season, and Jeff Eddy made a commitment years ago that he would not go over $125 on a maintenance call, no matter how many units you have. He believes in keeping that price point low because he wants to encourage you to maintenance that AC unit, because he knows that that will extend the life of the unit. Why does he do this, you might ask? I mean, after all, Jeff Eddy's in the business of replacing units. Why would he do this? Because he knows that if he is upfront and honest with you, if he extends the life of the unit from you or with you and make sure that you get maximum value out of your AC, then you're going to call him when it's time to replace. And he wants to be there for you then, too. And he's going to keep those prices low as well. He never charges you overtime when you have to call him during off hours. And he only charges you a max of $125 for maintenance calls. And oftentimes, it's much less than that. Jeff Eddy, an Efficient Heating and Cooling. If your AC's not ready, call Jeff Eddy, an Efficient Heating and Cooling at 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.net. A lot of smart guys and gals over at the Members Nutrition Super Text line. I see you over there. I see you, Jeremy. Jeremy actually reflecting on a conversation that we had with Chris Hand during the crossover between the Hand Show and the Murphy Show regarding the Grand Canyon. How about this for a callback, Bell? By the way, it's Matt Murphy, Murphy Show, Friday edition. Hello. Murphy wouldn't like the Grand Canyon. There's rubble laying around in front of the canyon walls.
Well done, sir. Well done.
To which I responded, naturally made? Naturally made? Man-made.
Still rubble.
There's rubble.
Need to go in there and clean that thing up.
We do. We need to clean the Grand Canyon up.
Get that loose gravel out of the...
Get all that scrub brush out of there. Come on. Let's manicure the thing. Make it nice and neat. I'm just telling you, Mount Rushmore's got a lot of rock in front of it that they need to remove. And they say it's for erosion, and I think that's baloney. All right, it's 1230 Super Talk 99.7 WT. And real quick, Mike is in the ATL, I believe, with a comment about the pandemic. Hey, Mike.
Good morning, Matt. Thank you for all y'all do and your team. Sound like you got a wonderful group of people there.
Thank
I'm
you,
actually a truck driver. I'm just passed through that nightmare downtown. But what I wanted to say about the pandemic and Fauci and all these people involved in it and the corruption, I challenge anybody who hasn't seen the movie to go find the movie Contagion and watch it now that we're past the pandemic. Watch it in retrospect and see all the duplications from that movie in the pandemic. And especially the very last scene where they put it away.
Well, they say that art imitates life, and even more so, life imitates art sometimes, and certainly, obviously, there's a lot of parallels going on between Contagion. There were a couple of other movies that their names slip my mind right now that have some parallels to what happened during the pandemic. I'm sorry to do it, Mike, but I got to cut you off because I have seen the time on the wall, and it's time to go to a break. And when we come back, we've got Congressman John Rose to reflect on a decision by the House of Representatives to demand of TikTok that they divest themselves of any Chinese ties. Otherwise, they'll be banned in the United States of America, amongst other things. We'll do that with Congressman Rose next. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 12:36. Busy day on this First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Thank you for being with us until 3 o'clock or whenever you can listen. We appreciate you. Brian Wilson coming up at 3 with The Drive. We're here until then. John Rose is here with us. He's on the Murphy Show hotline. Congressman John Rose joining us to talk about activity going on in Washington, D.C. this week. I'm promising to be a joyful warrior, John, so we might disagree on this matter of TikTok and the government's involvement, but I promise that we'll disagree in a pleasant way. How are you, John?
I'm great. Thanks for having me as a guest this afternoon.
It's absolutely always a pleasure. Before we get into the politics of the day, I do have this. I promised a loyal listener that I would ask you a question. Do you have anyone in your family, like a mother or a grandmother, that used to teach school?
Yes, actually, my grandmother taught school, and my sister, brother-in-law, school teachers as well.
Gordonsville High School?
I had an aunt. I have an aunt who taught at Gordonsville School.
Okay.
She actually taught first and second grade. My sister taught there for a while. So my grandmother, that was before consolidation, so she taught at a small country school in the county, not at Gordonsville.
Well, I had a listener, when they found out that you were coming on, said, Matt, would you do me a favor and ask John Rose if his mother or grandmother was a teacher at Gordonsville High School? If so, she was a wonderful, wonderful lady. So I bet we're talking about the same person.
Yeah, and I'm leaving this out. My mom did teach there. I'm not having a brain block there. My mom taught home economics and English at Gordonsville High School. So that's who your listener is talking about.
Well, listener,
Betty Williams Rose.
They wanted you to know that your mom is a wonderful lady, and I bet you already knew that, but they just wanted to express that to you.
Sure.
So, John, talk to me about your rationale. Here's where I'm at on this. I'm willing to be convinced that there is a compelling national security interest in the government saying, I understand the threat that China poses. I don't like any more than anybody that, a lot of the components that goes into our pharmaceuticals come from China. Most of the precious earth metals that we use for electronics comes from China. I mean, all of those things are concerning and bothersome. I just need to know why this is of such a concern that we would go so far to shut a private business down unless they make some changes in their business model. Talk to me about it.
Well, so the concern obviously with TikTok is that ByteDance, which owns TikTok, it's pretty clearly is controlled or forced by the Chinese Communist Party to share the data that it collects on Americans. And as we have learned, despite their attempts at some junctures to mislead us on this, much of that data is kept in China. And the law in China is that ByteDance has to allow the Chinese Communist Party access to that data. So we have the data of literally 175 plus million Americans that is accessible by the Chinese Communist Party. And this is not a new issue. We've known this for some time. And so the legislation does not shut TikTok down. It simply requires that ByteDance divest itself of the controlling ownership of TikTok. And I will just say the evidence is pretty overwhelming that the Chinese have malign interests with respect to the control of this information. And so this is really about protecting Americans and their privacy from a foreign adversary that has made it clear what their intentions are relative to the United States. And so, they have adopted this view of total war and their approach to the United States. And we don't have to speculate about the likelihood that they would use this information if they found it to be advantageous to do so. So again, the bill doesn't ban TikTok. It simply requires that ByteDance divest itself and thereby divesting any control by the Chinese Communist Party.
I mean, yeah, but obviously it's what you're saying is that the bill doesn't ban TikTok unless TikTok sells to someone else. So it's effectively the same. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, if TikTok remains in its current form under its current ownership, then you will no longer be able to access TikTok in the United States, right?
That is true. If they refuse to divest, then that would be true. And now we see this across a range of industries. And I will just say Matt, I was trained in college as an economic student to believe in free trade and open markets, and certainly, as you know from the positions I've taken on other issues, I believe very strongly in our First Amendment rights as secured by the Constitution, and so have spoken out actively to support First Amendment rights. So I don't see this. The intention here is not to suppress speech, but rather to protect speech. And just this past week, as we got lots of calls from folks about TikTok, we learned that the TikTok app was essentially forcing its customers, they were essentially forcing their customers to make calls to their members of Congress. And, that's obviously compelled speech is the same thing as, silenced speech. And so, they're not really in a position to call foul on First Amendment grounds if they're going to force their users to, to express certain opinions, and which is essentially what they were doing.
Well, I don't want to get off on a tangent on that, but nobody's forcing anyone to use TikTok.
That's right, and we're not saying that you can't. We're saying that as long as the Chinese Communist Party has the influence that they have over TikTok, that it is a national security interest for the United States.
There are plenty of things that Americans do that we recognize are potentially negative things that they do in their lives, but we allow them to do that because we believe in the freedom that we enjoy in the United States of America to do things unfettered by a government that would dictate that they must do this or that thing. The reason the government is involved in this case, it's my understanding, John, is because of the compelling national security threat that exists. Tell me what that threat is.
Well, so without saying more than I can, I would say, what is clear is that the Chinese Communist Party intends to use the information that they gather about Americans to their advantage. And so that could come in the form of extorting Americans. It could also come in the form, though, of attempting to influence opinions of Americans by feeding them information. This is the same fear, arguably, that we have with other social media platforms where they're interfering with, the freedom of Americans to communicate with one another, or they're pushing them in a certain direction. And so because we know the Chinese Communist Party has asserted that they plan to utilize those, that power to their advantage, we don't have to speculate about that. And so this, of course, only applies to 4 countries that are believed to be actively contemplating being adversaries or are current adversaries of the United States, either directly or through proxies. So China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia, that have, obviously shown adverse intent toward the United States and the people of the United States. So as you know, of course, it passed overwhelmingly, and members of Congress obviously were well educated about the threat and the threat matrix that that has been identified, and the Energy and Commerce Committee passed it unanimously out of committee. I don't have to tell you how rare that is in Congress to have the degree of bipartisan support for something like this.
Well, John,
so,
if you want to get Congress uniformly behind something, tell them that the government's going to take control over certain aspects of our daily life. But here's the thing, though, John. We're friends. I consider us friends. I consider you an ally in the cause for freedom and liberty in the United States. So I'm not coming at you when I say this, but it feels to me like all of our Congress people are saying, trust us. Y'all have lost that trust of the American people, either through COVID-19 or through the malfeasance on the part of the FBI or through the misuse of FISA warrants. I'm sorry that y'all have lost that trust, but you have. I'm not going to sit by and simply say, okay, I'm going to trust the government when they tell us that there's a real... Why can't you tell us what this national security threat is?
Well, I don't think there's any great secret here. Again, it's it's disseminating false information that the TikTok platform can be used for, and then it's the collecting of personal information on millions of Americans.
So wait a minute, I don't mean to interrupt you, John, but isn't Facebook doing that too?
They are, but they're not under the control of the Chinese Communist Party.
But under that spirit, why would not the government say that they should shut Facebook down?
Well, again, because you don't have an adverse interest like the Chinese government that is directing the activities of Facebook. Now, I grant you you raise concerns, but Facebook and the other the other social media platforms that are not controlled by malign foreign interests, they are subject to the competitive forces of the marketplace. And so if they misuse the information they have, and I will tell you, I think we obviously should be very careful in watching what those other social media platforms are doing, and we should be careful in watching what the government is doing to compel them to do certain things. So, for example, last year, I was very outspoken about the New York Post reporter Emma Jo Morris and her reporting about Hunter Biden's laptop that was frankly suppressed by the U.S. government and by major social media platforms. I spoke up about that. And as we've discussed in the past, I'm very concerned about the renewal of FISA. I voted against the temporary extension, and I very strongly believe that the authorities under FISA should be limited by requiring the government to obtain a warrant when they seek your private information. And I think they should also be restricted. The government should be in purchasing your private information from private sector players who are gathering that information. And ultimately, I favor allowing Americans to own their personal information and not allowing it to be owned by the social media platforms. So, which would be, of course, broader approaches to this same issue. But in the case of China and Russia, North Korea, Iran, I think we have the added problem that their governments are actively averse to American interests. And so we just simply can't let a platform like TikTok be owned by one of those.
I find it fascinating that this is the hill that we finally decided that we're going to die on when it comes to China. After allowing China the power over precious earth metals, after allowing China the power over so much of our pharmaceutical industry, after allowing power to China the ability to purchase almost, I think it's 400,000 acres of farmland in the United States of America. And I know that you're probably against all of these things too, John, so I'm probably preaching to the choir at this point.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I understand the threat that China poses. I also understand the threat that exists that our own government of the United States of America will limit our ability to freely communicate on the internet when given the ability. And that's kind of what I'm fighting back against is I need to see the real – in order to hand to the government a certain portion of my liberties, I want to see in exchange why I'm doing that and what specific threat or reasoning or rationale the government has. And I'm getting a lot of, well, there's a lot of threats out there and China. And I understand that there are certain things you can't say. And I'm not asking you to violate your oath. I'm not doing that. But you understand our concerns as the population of Tennessee looks at this and wonders, well, what could be so grave that they would decide to shut down a platform that's utilized by 175 million people in this country?
Sure, and I understand that, and I would tell you this isn't the first area, but it may be the broadest in terms of its touch to the American people. So we do limit the export of critical information and technologies and equipment to countries like China as well. We do keep a careful eye on our reliance on them for critical materials and infrastructure as well. You're right to be skeptical about the degree to which we've come to rely on them for not only pharmaceuticals but the precursor chemicals for pharmaceuticals and in a number of other areas, to be sure. And I think you're going to see, a continuing pushback on those fronts. Again, I believe in free trade and free and open markets, but with respect to China in particular and some of our other foreign adversaries as well, we know that they intend to use our reliance on them to harm us, and so we have to take a different view there. And so I think you're going to see, as we move forward, continued pushback against China and our reliance on them, not only for critical minerals but for other critical supplies in our broader supply chains. And frankly, ultimately, I don't think we should allow them to compete on a level playing field with the rest of the world in terms of trade, because they are manipulating that system. So, if, in my own view, 25 years ago when we gave them most favored nation trading status and welcomed them into the World Trade Organization. The belief then, of course, was that they would liberalize their policies and democratize. But we've learned that that's not what they plan to do. That's not what they intend to do. They instead are planning to use the advantages that they got from being kind of welcomed into the World Trade Organization and being given a level playing field. They are using that against us, and they're manipulating markets to gain an outsized control over those markets. And so in this case, I think a unique situation because they do have access to so much sensitive information on Americans, and the belief that there's no question that they plan to use that information. And so TikTok should be able to go on. I think it will be overwhelming in their interest to divest their ownership there and allow TikTok to continue to be successful in North America, in the United States market, but not under Chinese Communist Party control.
Why doesn't the American government buy it?
Well, I think we don't want the American government owning a social media platform
apparently,
like that for all the obvious reasons.
But John, if you're making ownership decisions effectively, right? You understand my point? That if the United States government,
I understand the concern.
I mean, all right. So look, we've beaten the horse, and it's all well and good. Once again, I'm here to reflect some of the concerns that I hear from the general public, and I'm here, as a voice of liberty, and I know that you are too. So we'll continue the conversation down the road. What about, real quick before I let you go? Are you familiar with Temu? Or Temu, the online marketplace that's owned by China?
Yes, the fast fashion industry. Which
should the government be shutting down that website because all of that stuff comes from China? It's owned by the government.
It is a concern, and one of the principal concerns with Temu and Shein and other fast fashion and fast product companies is that they are primarily succeeding because they're taking advantage of what's called the de minimis exception to our shipping and customs laws, which allow small dollar value products to be shipped into the country. And so we are taking a look at that because it frankly gives them an opportunity to bypass Customs and Border Enforcement and customs inspections and avoid tariffs and avoid other export controls. So, the concern there we have is not only the economic impact that that's having on American industry and business, but also the potential for evading customs inspections and getting illicit products into the country, and the potential that those products have been manufactured in some cases using slave or forced labor from places like the Xinjiang autonomous zone where the Uyghurs are concentrated. And so those issues are on the table as well. Again, we see this from the Chinese government, that they are very, very carefully taking advantage of our free and open markets. And as you've expressed, I mean, as Americans, we want the best value for the dollar, and we want to be able to access the products that we want. And so we tend to have a more open mindset about these things. But we have to understand the Chinese interest is to use those things to their advantage. And they, in the case of the Chinese Communist Party, they are very carefully doing so.
John, you have well represented your position. I appreciate you coming on and explaining it to the listening audience and to the people of your 6th Congressional District. Thank you for your time, and I want you to have a wonderful weekend. Have a happy St. Patty's Day, and we'll talk again very soon, my friend.
Thanks. I just want to say, I'm an unapologetic supporter for Donald Trump, and very pleased that we now have a rematch of the 2020 election. I think we're going to see the president put forward a great platform.
Well, I share that belief, and I share that excitement over what we're going to see over the next several months, and it should be a good time heading toward November. Thank you, John.
We're going to make America great again.
Take care. There's John Rose, representing the 6th Congressional District of Tennessee, and a Trump man through and through.
Why can you not just use a VPN and download TikTok and use it that way? They're going to stop nothing. And this bill gives the president, it gives the executive branch the authority to define a website.
Define foreign adversaries.
Yes.
So the bill if passed as written and passed by the House in the Senate and signed by the president, would give the president of the United States the authorization to define what a foreign adversary is, or what an adversary, a national security threat is. And in doing so, it gives the president, the executive branch, the authority to shut things down at their determination that what you are doing is a national security threat. In other words, it would give the president the authority, if they determined that we were a threat, to shut us down online, to shut this radio station. This is not being hyperbolic. This is in the bill, that it would give him the ability to do that, which is why I'm against it, which is why I'm beating this dead horse, as some are calling it. More on that in a moment on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. A lot of reaction on the phone lines as well. And Fri Jay upcoming. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, gang, Members Nutrition wants you to know a couple of things. One, go to the website and see the incredible products that they have at Members Nutrition. If you believe in vitamins and supplements, and I most certainly do, if you believe that we over-medicate ourselves through the pharmaceutical industry and that a lot of what we want to accomplish in our lives can be done so through quality vitamins and supplements that are naturally occurring on God's green earth, then you need to get to Members Nutrition. Let me tell you, Members Nutrition, you've heard me talking about the Youthful Cleanse by Daily Defense. It's much, much more than that. It brings affordable and quality supplements to you at a fraction of the normal cost. As a matter of fact, I went last night. I was interested in some of the different vitamins and supplements they have, and I've taken some of them. As a matter of fact, my wife and I took enough where we ran out, and I went online last night at membersnutrition.com. You don't have to sign up or do anything. I signed up for nothing, but I got an incredible discount, 50% off. So already you get the low price offered by Members Nutrition. We're talking men's health, women's health, relaxation supplements, whatever you're in the market for, immunity or weight loss, detox like the cleanse. They are offering 50% off to you right now. All you have to do is go online. It's off their already discounted low prices. No code needed. The discount is automatically applied at checkout. Go now to membersnutrition.com. That's membersnutrition.com.
Excuse me, do you mind taking a picture of us? You need Verizon. Get the new iPhone.
The world famous clock store is available for you both online and in person, and that's a nice choice to have if you live in Nashville or the surrounding community. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for the world famous clock store. People come from all around. They go to clockstore.com. They find what they're looking for. They go, they see it in person, and they buy it from the world famous clock store. Now, obviously, if you have a name like Glock Store, you've got Glocks, and they have plenty of those. Plus, they have performance parts, mostly performance parts. I mean, well, these performance parts are not just for Glocks, they're for other brands as well. But they have the gunsmiths that can help you find whatever you're looking for to customize your gun and to get it the right way that you want it at the Glock store. They've got guns, they've got ammo, they've got accessories, they've got clothing, and they have shooting rooms at the shoot270.com website. You can find out more about how you can schedule a shooting room today with a personal trainer. You and a loved one can go. They have WOW, women-only Wednesdays at the Glock store. All available for you at shoot270.com or glockstore.com, or go by and see it in person just off of Elm Hill Pike on Airlane Drive. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the world-famous Glock store. Have you seen, I know this is not consistent with Fri Jay, which we're about to get into momentarily, but have you seen this story? I was just reading a story. By the way, it's the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Fri Jay's upcoming. It's 107. Get your questions or comments in on the Super Text line. Members Nutrition Super Text line is up and running. I take every question for Jay St. Clair. I put it in a particular bucket. Then I pick from that bucket and I ask him these questions as time is available. So you can get them in now at 615-737-9986. Any legal question you have, any question at all, really, we'll ask a Jay, and he'll have an answer. Whether it's right or not, well, I don't know. Mostly right, but never in doubt, as he likes to say. But before we get to that, one of the pieces of advice, Toronto, Canada, Toronto police are now actually telling residents in the town, there's a small town there, and it's hard for me to pronounce, so I'm going to call it Great Googly Moogly.
This is ridiculous. I've seen this story. It's ridiculous.
In the town of Etobicoke, so that would be
Googly Moogly.
Bioke,
No, the E's silent. It's Googly Moogly.
It's Googly Moogly, Canada. Googly Moogly, Toronto, Canada is the location. Toronto police are telling residents in that town that they should leave their car keys near the door of their home to avoid being attacked in their home by burglars.
So they'll just take the car and leave.
According to police, the number of car thefts in the city has more than doubled in recent years. In 2023, more than 12,000 vehicles were reported stolen. In 2019, it was just over 5,000 vehicles reported stolen. Thieves have begun breaking into houses to steal car keys in order to steal cars, which has prompted the advice from the Toronto police constable that you should leave your... I mean,
you know how you fix...
Am I supposed to not laugh at this?
You know how you fix that problem?
How's that?
More government.
I mean, the advice of the Toronto police is for you to basically leave your keys in your car so that they have a better ability to steal your car so that you're not in danger. During a recent town hall, the Toronto police constable, Marco Riccardi, advised residents leave their car keys near the front door of their houses so they don't have to confront violent criminals who he noted often have, quote, real guns, end quote.
Wait a minute, the criminals do?
Yes, the criminals have...
That's absolutely not true. They have gun control in Canada. The criminals do not have guns.
Constable Marco Polo disagrees with you, friend.
They have gun control up there. There are no guns in the hands of criminals.
Well, I don't know what kind of information that the constable got, but he claims that they have, quote, real guns. Not just fake guns, but real guns.
I don't believe that.
Well, I mean, you don't have to leave your car keys outside in your car then, Bell. And it's on you.
Hey, don't tell me what to do. I'll leave the engine running if I want to.
Well, you probably should because crime is rampant up there. You just leave the engine running this weekend over in Madison. And, guys, if you see a running car in Madison, Tennessee, it's Bell's. Just go ahead and get in it and go. See if we get accused of some sort of wrongdoing. Hey, it's Fri Jay time on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello.
Good morning, Americans. It's Fri Jay.
It is. If you're waiting on the TikTok front, stand by. We've got Jay St. Clair in with us. He's going to answer legal questions. To answer the super text line from 8212, you say Marco, I say Polo. Jay St. Clair joins us vis-a-vis the Murphy hotline on this Fri Jay. We missed him last week. We've got him this week. Jay St. Clair, as I like to do, I have a question for you to begin our conversation. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
How you doing, Jay?
You know, man, if I were any better, I would be the next giant catfish caught by Hannah Barron. Woo.
It's some, sometimes it's so random. I don't know what are you talking about? I have not seen whatever it is that you have found that is delighting you on the intraweb. He's talking about catfishing, Bell.
No, he's talking about hot girls.
He's
noodling.
talking about hot girls noodling. That's what he's doing.
Uh-huh.
Who is this Hannah person, Jay?
She's now 27 years old. She's in South Alabama. She is as country as country. I mean, she fell through the country tree, Matt, and hit every branch. And her job apparently is to make YouTube videos about catching giant catfish with her hands, bare hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she makes me sound like the king of England in terms of her accent. And she used to be on the Twitter years ago, and then she quit that. And just this last week, somebody, I think from the Middle East, posted one of her old videos and said this accent should be illegal. And American women are awful. They're like men. You can't tell them from men.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. If you hadn't seen a video of Hannah Barron, look at one, and you won't be confused about her gender.
Steve writes in and says, "Appreciate y'all." That's apparently her catchphrase.
That's her tagline.
That's her tagline. Appreciate y'all.
That's good, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Well, now I have a homework assignment for the weekend. I've got to look up Hannah and her noodling. Those people are crazy. Jay, how much money? How much money?
None. You could give me all the tea in China, and I would say there is no way I'm jumping in that muddy creek and move my hand around there at the bottom of it until I pull up a 25-pound catfish. I'd never do it, man.
No, I don't think I would either. I don't care. I would be afraid that I would lose the fight,
Right.
Or you stick your hand in a hole that's got a snapping turtle in it.
Or what?
Right.
I mean, yeah, snapping turtle. But look, when I was a kid, I lived near Clarks Hill Lake. We on the Georgia side call it Clarks Hill Lake. On the South Carolina side, they call it Thurman Lake because of some dude over there named Strom Thurmond. But whatever. And we heard stories of like 250-pound catfish at the bottom of that lake that would eat you if you got near them. I ain't going near them.
No, I wouldn't either. Hannah's not scared.
Yeah, she ain't scared. Well, you ain't scared of going fast, and you ain't scared of the law, and I am not scared to ask you this question. So what do you make? The decision came down today. I think it's a good day for Donald Trump, and I can give you my political analysis why in a minute. Right. But tell me what was decided today by the judge.
Yeah, you're talking about in Georgia.
I'm talking about in Georgia with Fani Willis.
Yeah, so what he said is the fact that Fani, well, let's just assume she was having a romantic relationship with this independent contractor she hired and paid $1 million. That does not create a legal conflict of interest in prosecuting the case. That was a narrow ruling that he had. I've got the decision right here in my hands, man. And with that, I agree completely. I've told you all along, I don't think this has anything to do with a legal conflict. Now, he did say, but there is no legal conflict. Now, if she were having a romantic relationship with Donald Trump,
or a member of the defense.
Yeah. Right, the attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Then now that's a conflict or a potential conflict. So I think the judge got that part of it right, man. But he went on to say, so there is no legal conflict. But folks, I got to tell you, this looks awful. He said, this looks awful. And the law has this concept of the appearance of impropriety. And he said, well, what we have here is appearance of impropriety.
That's a little.
Do you think Bell has any idea what that reference is to?
It's from Cool Hand Luke, isn't it?
I got you.
Oh,
He got it.
excellent.
I get all of my historical knowledge from Guns N' Roses songs.
I wish you'd stop being so good to me, boss. Anyway.
Yeah,
isn't that what he? Isn't that what? Wait, but hold on a second. So, isn't that what he says? He said it's. You got to understand, it's for your own good, Luke.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I wish you'd stop being so good to me, boss.
Boss, I wish you could be so good.
So yeah. What? So the appearance of impropriety.
Mm-hmm. Right. And his solution for that is one of y'all got to go. We're not going to go to trial with a happy couple in here. Trying this case together.
So he left it up to Fannie herself.
Right.
Said you either fire Nathan Wade or you leave, which one would naturally believe that would eliminate Nathan Wade from the equation too. I guess it doesn't have to, but a lot in the media tried to initially point this as a victory for Fannie Willis or a victory for Nathan Wade. And what it seemed to me the judge said, Jay, and tell me if I'm reading it right, is look, I'm pretty sure y'all did lie to me about when all of this started, but the defense didn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. So you're good in that regard, but we're not going forward with any of this. You need to get him out of the courtroom and we'll move on, or you can recuse yourself and we'll get a new DA.
Yeah, that's right. But I would say this, man, even if she intentionally lied to him about it, that's not a legal conflict of interest.
Right.
That may be a violation of her legal oath, and she might get disbarred from it. But that doesn't mean that she gets taken over that case. That's for the bar to decide at that point whether she's violated legal canons. And I thought that since day one from this. I've never really understood what anybody was claiming was the actual legal conflict. So I think the judge got that part of it right, but he's right about this.
Well, the suggestion was, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but wasn't the suggestion that, and they never proved any of this, but and I would say the reason they didn't is because these people were good at covering their tracks, is that the only reason she hired Nathan Wade was because of the romantic relationship, and she wanted to pay him, and she benefited from that because of all of these trips that he took her on. So,
sure.
Yeah, right.
Well, she's stealing. In effect, she's saying she's stealing.
Right.
Okay, well, fine. Let's say that during the course of all this, she'd been stealing $10,000 a week from the state of Georgia. Mm-hmm. Just embezzling money every week, man, which is basically what you're claiming she was doing.
Right.
Well, that's not a conflict of interest. I mean, it's a crime.
Mm-hmm.
She can get arrested or she can lose her law license, but it's not a legal conflict of interest in the sense that term is used in the law. Right? You see what I'm saying?
No, I do.
A prosecutor in the middle of the case goes out and robs a bank. Well, they got it on videotape. He clearly went out and broke the law, robs a bank. That's not a conflict of interest.
Yeah, but if that happened, you don't think they'd pull him off that case?
Well, the judge would not remove him for having a conflict of interest. See, what you've now done is you've hit on, I think, really the key point. This is between her and her supervisor.
Uh-huh.
But I think she's an elected official.
Right, she is.
So her supervisors are the voters. And see, that's why Georgia had to come along and hurry up and write a law that gives, I think, the Attorney General or some statewide organization the authority to discipline or remove misbehaving prosecutors. Georgia law currently doesn't have that, man. Alabama does. I mean, the way Alabama set up, the Attorney General of the state of Alabama at any time can step in and take over any case being handled by any district attorney in the state of Alabama. But that's not the law in Tennessee.
Right. I got it. Well, I'm a little bit distracted, and I'll tell you why, Jay. It's your fault. Because
you are watching videos.
No, I have super texters on the Members Nutrition Super Text line sending me videos and photographs of Hannah with big old catfish around her neck.
Uh-huh.
And it took me 2 or 3 minutes to see the catfish. if you know what I'm saying.
It ain't just the catfish that's big in that picture.
Well, wait till you hear her talk.
Okay, I can't wait for it. So, final thought on this, and I want to get as many legal questions as we possibly can at 615-737-9986 because I know how much you like to ask them, and I know how much Jay likes to answer them. So, I will forever love the judge, regardless of the efficacy of his ruling or whether you agree with the ruling or don't agree with the ruling, because he used one of my favorite words in his ruling. It's a word that I learned from the fabulous Tennessee Williams play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and the word is mendacity.
Absolutely.
He said that while he did not believe the defense met the burden of proof, that the entire thing has the odor of mendacity. And I love that turn of phrase. And he's right. He's right.
What we have here is the odor of mendacity.
Jay St. Clair is with us. Get your questions in. It's Fri Jay on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Attention, gentlemen. Have you noticed a lack of energy, motivation, or drive? Do you feel sluggish, run down? Do you have low libido? Do you not just feel like you used to and you feel like, well, this is just the way it goes, Murph? You get older and you feel worse. No, it could be something specific. It could be low T. It could be other things. When it comes to health, there are numbers that every man needs to know, and I want you to find those numbers out at Tennessee Men's Clinic. They can help you. They can truly change your life. Most men, when they go to Tennessee Men's Clinic, come out of there experiencing higher energy, better gains at the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, and you might even notice an increased libido in the bedroom. And that's a good thing too, gentlemen. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has successfully treated thousands of men just like you. It doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to walk through their doors. 2 locations to serve you that we talk about all the time. One's in Midtown, been there since 2014. The other opened up last year in Cool Springs. They specialize in men's health. They are reinventing men's health care, and they can get you back to that life that you've enjoyed. If you're feeling tired and or grumpy, if you've noticed weight gain or loss of muscle mass, it's time to get with Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or call and schedule that appointment today. 615-208-9090. 208-9090 for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, there's a guy. Now, see, that guy that just walked in the door right there, you see him right there beside you? That's Paul Winkler. I talk about Paul Winkler all the time. Paul Winkler stopped. But, you know, of course, he's got the show on Saturdays.
He's here to see me.
I'm sure he is. 3 to 6, right?
3 to 6.
3 to 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Paul popped his head in the door. And he goes, "Come on, Murph. You're giving him hell on TikTok. You don't trust the guy." And I'm here to tell you, if Paul Winkler told me to trust him, that we needed to shut I would trust that because he has demonstrated trustworthiness. You earn that, right?
Well, certainly more so than any politician.
I would tell you. I mean, so if Paul was to say it, I'd go. So maybe tomorrow, listen in at 3 o'clock. If at 3 o'clock tomorrow, Paul tells you that we need to shut down TikTok, then I'm all on board. But if he tells you to be leery of the things that the government tells you because there might be a subversive interest, then I'm all on board with that too. I'm not telling him I'm not telling Paul what to talk about on his show. I'm just saying he popped his head in and said, "Stop giving the government so much grief. They deserve anyway." Jay St. Clair is with us. We appreciate him being here on a Friday. It is Fri Jay, and we got lots of questions, lots of thoughts coming in. I am incredibly distracted due to my due diligence and my research. Jay gave me a research project, and I'm on top of it, Jay. I'm on top of the Hannah. The Hannah research project is ongoing. I'll tell you all of my findings.
Have you heard her talk yet? Have you heard her?
I have not heard her talk yet. I've got some videos pulled up. I'm ready to go with them, though.
Okay.
So, Jay, real quick, there was a ruling that came down, a mutual friend of ours, Your Honor, and I was unable to read it in the time that I had between the time that he sent it to us, but it was a ruling about social media platforms and government officials and what does or does not constitute an official government platform or whatnot. Have you had time to read that yet?
Well, Matt, you know me. I've got it right here sitting in my lap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a unanimous decision in the United States Supreme Court. And they said when a governmental actor posts things on social media, that's an act of the government only if two things are true. One, that person possesses actual authority to speak on the state's behalf on that matter. It's part of that person's job to speak on that matter. So, for instance, if Nancy Pelosi got on Twitter and said something awful about Hannah Barron, then that would not be her acting in her public capacity. That would be her being an idiot with zero text. So they have to have actual authority. And second, they have to purport to exercise that authority. This is Donald J. Trump, and I'm speaking to you as President of the United States. I'm not speaking to you as a private citizen. Well, then now they have the authority and they're exercising the authority. It's a real kind of technical ruling. But our buddy Richard, who out of respect for him, we won't say his full name, is a public authority. Well, he's an elected official. And he gets the ruling, and we can say this because we're not saying exactly who he is. Ooh, I need to go see who I can block.
But I get that, but so it is funny, but you using something like X or Twitter as an example, can't I go from one to the other like that? I mean,
sure you can. I mean, yeah. Here's the deal, and this is why this is hard, man. Public officials also have a private life. And this gets back to kind of the Trump and the document stuff, right? What is the public records and what are the private records? You get to take, what was it I said? You get to take your underwear, but you can't take the silverware.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the government owns the silverware, but you can take your underwear. And so, yeah, public officials or governmental employees are the same thing for the law. They are both public and private. And they can switch back and forth almost, in the bat of an eye, which makes it really difficult. That's a tough problem for the law to deal with.
Well, because and I'm not saying I'm falling any one way or the other on this, but I'm just to use a phrase, I'm just noodling it out here, right? So
You sort of got a one-track mind right now, don't you?
well, it's your fault. So if I'm a public official and I have a X account and I say, I am a representative of the state of Tennessee in the Tennessee General Assembly. I am a state senator and I'm here, at your service. But I talk about a lot of private. I post videos of this Hannah chick pulling catfish out of the river or whatever. But then occasionally I talk about very serious public matters. Hey, I'm thinking about this law that they're trying to pass, yada, yada, yada. Well, right. if you're my constituent and we had a back and forth and I've blocked you.
Right. I think that's illegal, right? Because now you're blocking me for everything, both public and private. Yep. Okay. And that's why most public officials maintain two accounts, right?
A public and a private.
Official account, and then they have their personal account. But even then, it's not crystal clear, right? Because they could get on their personal account and still act as if they're speaking to the government.
It doesn't feel like the Supreme Court answered that question.
You have the wisdom of science.
Well, no, I'm just...
Hey, Bill. You there, Bill?
He's there.
What is my favorite color?
I want to say it was blue.
It's incorrect.
Correct.
Incorrect.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to talking to Paul and clear that.
Hey, do you know why Jay likes gray so much, Bell?
No.
Jay, what do you turn gray into?
Green.
He turns gray into green.
That's right. I forgot about that. But you still never told me which you still never told me which crayon is best. What color is the best to write a lawsuit out with?
You're exactly right, man. The water is just as muddy in this area of the law right now as that next creek that Hannah's going to go catch that cat.
I mean, right? Because and I've not read it, but based on your analysis, it seems like what they said is, well, if they're doing official things, then people ought to be able to see that. But if they're doing private things, then they ought to be able to do private stuff.
Yep, it's an incredibly hard line to draw. And they weren't very precise in drawing it. And the reason I know that, all 9 justices agreed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what that tells me? They really didn't decide anything.
Yeah. Jay's with us for another segment. We've got him with your telephone calls. Rick's got one. David's got one. A lot of questions coming in on the Super Text line as well. The Members Nutrition Super Text line up and running for legal questions. 615-737-9986. Back after this. Super Talk 99.7 WT, and coming up Friday Mac Attack. We just came up with the subject of Friday Mac Attack. Just came up with the subject. And I'm going to get a suggestion from my good friend, life consultant, gambling buddy, and best friend in the world, Jay St. Clair, on this subject. You know, Jay, after you go off the air, at 2 o'clock, we have something called Friday Mac Attack. And every week we do a draft, and there are different subjects. One week we drafted cereals. And once something's taken off the board, you know, nobody else can have it. Sure. This week's subject is best movie vehicles of all time.
Mm.
And
okay, vehicles. Got it.
Like a good example would be the Aston Martin from James Bond.
Well,
right?
Absolutely, but I was thinking of the Lotus that Roger Moore actually drove underwater.
That's a pretty good one too.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, no, you could do a whole segment on just James Bond vehicles.
Yeah, Bond vehicles.
But that's what we're doing coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. So you guys hang in for that.
Right.
Jay, we got a lot of questions on the board, so let's get to them. David is first up with a question for Jay St. Clair. David, you're on the clock, buddy. How are you?
Thank you very much. I have a question. I've never been in trouble before in my life. I met with my ex-girlfriend, and we were supposed to meet up around 7 o'clock. I got over there about 12:30. I wanted to wait because I had a mixed drink. I get over there about 12:30, and she said she would leave the back door open for me. So I walk in, and her roommate calls the police and has me arrested.
I'm so sorry.
And he asked her, not the roommate, but my ex-girlfriend, were you expecting him? And she says no. And on top of that,
she said the door's unlocked. And if
she told me the door would be unlocked, so I walked in.
Well, did you say the door will be unlocked, you're free to come inside, or did she just say the door will be unlocked?
Now, say it again?
Did you say the door will be unlocked so you're free to come inside, or did she just
come
say
on
the
in.
door will be unlocked?
She said, come on in, David?
Yes, she said, come on in.
Okay.
And after that...
So now you're dealing with a charge, and I guess your question is, are you guilty of a crime?
Yeah, they charged me with aggravated trespassing.
Right.
And then after he handcuffed me and put me...
Yeah, David, what's your question?
And after...
Well, David.
Yeah.
I'm limited on time. I got a lot of people in line. I need to get to a question.
Okay. I mean, my lawyer keeps putting it off. This is the third time the DA has put it off. And my lawyer just keeps saying, let me handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't know what to expect.
David, what's your question?
So what's the question?
The question is, I don't know what to expect when I go to court soon.
Well, if I were in your shoes, I would expect to get cut loose free. If you got any kind of lawyer, you ought to be walking away from that case, David.
Right, because
I wouldn't be too worried about where is it? Where's it?
I cut him loose, Jay. I'm sorry. That's on me. I cut him loose
because he was given permission to enter the building, man. So that's not trespassing,
right?
But now she made crawfish on him. That's a legal term,
David.
Bill, if you need me to translate it into this, let me know. If she crawfishes and said, no, I never gave him permission, then it's a swearing match between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an honest voice. I believe he's going to have an honest face, and I think he's going to win that swearing match. But he did not commit a crime.
Well, 73-47 kind of put it in terms where I can get down and graze on it. It sounds like David got caught in the old okey doke. That's what we used to call it back in the day, the old okey doke. All right, Rick, you're up next with Jay St. Clair. Rick, thank you for your call. How are you?
Hey, fine. You doing okay?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind?
Okay, I was in a car accident earlier this year, and basically a guy cut in front of me and totaled my car.
Oh, no.
Totaled his, too.
Yeah.
And his insurance admitted fault, and they sent a claims adjuster out to look at the car, my car, and they totaled it. But they're not giving me enough money for it, is my problem.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And my insurance is out of it, so.
Yep. So here, I mean, you got a couple of choices here. You know, you're really not going to like them, but they never give you enough money, Rick. And the truth of the matter is, even if they gave you so-called fair market value, you're never going to be made whole. Let's say they give you $10,000 for the car. If you go out and spend $10,000, you're not going to get the car that was as good as the car you had. That's just the way it works. But so here's your choice: is just work the best deal with the insurance company you can, and then if you just absolutely are not satisfied with what you're getting, then you just got to hire a lawyer.
Got to hire. Yeah.
I mean, the lawyer's got to pay a little bit. But let's say they're only offering you 10, and you get a lawyer, and the lawyer gets them up to 15. Well, if you have to go halfers with the lawyer on the difference, you're still $2,500 to the good.
Well, I can't even get a lawyer. Nobody wants to handle it because I didn't go to the hospital.
Yeah, because there's not enough money involved in it.
Okay.
How much? What's the difference in between? Don't tell me what they're offering you, but what's the difference between what they're offering you and what you'd take?
Probably about $8,000. If I had to replace the car, that's what it would cost me. It was a '97 model, but they're going for $20,000 now.
I know. Listen, I totally get it. You can sue them in small claims court. You can sue them in general sessions court, and you don't need a lawyer to do it. If you can't get a lawyer, and I get it, the lawyers, a lot of times they won't take cases unless it's got a lot of money in it. You can file that lawsuit yourself. They're not going to want to deal with it, and they'll give you some more money.
How about going after the driver?
Well, I mean, the driver may not have any money. You technically you would sue the driver, but then his insurance would pick it up. So you actually file the lawsuit against the driver, but then his insurance steps in. What
small claims?
Well, general sessions court. What county are you in?
It would probably be in Williamson County.
Yeah, Williamson. Yeah. Just go on the web and go to the Williamson County website and look up General Sessions Court, and they will have the forms there and so forth that you use to file your own lawsuit.
And go after the driver or the insurance company?
You'd file the lawsuit. You'd file the lawsuit against the driver.
Okay.
But then the insurance company will step in. They're the ones
that motivate them, maybe.
Yep. They don't want to have to deal with you.
Rick.
Okay.
Best of luck. Let us know how it goes, buddy. Thank you for the call. 615-737-9986. If you have thoughts or a call, I've got a number of questions from the super text line at 615-737-9986, brought to you by Members Nutrition. Question for Jay. Do you think the Bar Association, the Georgia Bar Association, will request to depose Ms. Willis upon reviewing the judge's decision from yesterday? Would they have any valid reason to take an independent look at this situation?
Yes, they would have absolutely a valid reason to do it because there is a strong, there is an odor of mendacity.
Love
that, and including under oath. And so, yes, they certainly have grounds to do it. And I'll be honest with you, I will be very disappointed if they don't. I don't know how political the Bar Association is in Georgia. And, I mean, let's be honest, so much of this is more about politics than law. But if something like that happened to me, I bet you the bar would look into me.
Well, no question. I mean, and you've taught me so much about where the law ends and politics starts, and I kind of come at it from the other direction. But what I felt like just in reading the synopsis of the decision this morning was that the judge was like, yeah, you know what? All of this stuff that y'all are saying she did, I believe you. I think she did it, but I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not she can continue here. Now, he can't, but you know what? She hasn't done anything that would violate her ability to continue in this case.
You said that exactly right, because, again, this concept of a conflict of interest is a narrow, very technical concept in the law, Matt. It does not apply to all misbehavior. You said that exactly right. It's for somebody other than this judge to decide if she should lose her job or otherwise be penalized.
All right, 2 more real quick before I have to go. Ask a Jay, how do you file a complaint against a lawyer?
You file it with the Bar Association.
Okay.
Go to the website. I'm assuming it's in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And go to the Tennessee Bar website, and on there they'll have a tab that says, "How do you file a complaint against a lawyer?" And they'll make it pretty easy for you.
And then the final question of the day for you, Jay. I'm sorry, I'm giving it up a little bit because I giggled while I said that. Has Jay gotten the phone number from the lady at Genesis Diamonds yet?
I called Pamela Furr last week to get that number for that lady. But I'm going to be honest with you now. Genesis Diamonds needs to change who does their voiceovers. Because I must say that was an interesting accent. But once you listen to Hannah, you're going to say, oh, they need to get rid of that Frenchie. They need to get rid of that Frenchie or whatever she was, or somewhere down the Caribbean. And they need to get them a country girl.
Good old country girl, out noodling and hadn't lost her diamond ring yet. That's actually a pretty good angle for an ad, right?
Actually, that's a pretty good verse. The first song of country music.
A country girl out noodling hadn't lost that diamond ring yet. Jay, you know how much fun I have with you. Good luck this weekend on the track.
Love you, brother.
All right, take care. There's Jay St. Clair joining us for the better part of the hour. And for any of you with questions and thoughts for Jay St. Clair, my apologies. There's always next week, next Fri Jay, 150 on Super Talk. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Thank you for being out there. So the Fani Willis decision made by the judge this morning, she's allowed to stay on the case so long as she fires Nathan Wade. It remains to be seen how she will respond to all of that. One would expect that she would just do what she's been told to do and fire Nathan Wade, but who knows? Fani Willis, she seems to be way too arrogant in order to recuse herself, but she seems to be equally arrogant enough to try to figure out a way to shirk around what the judge clearly has described she must do. In the meantime,
obviously not great on the decision making.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no question about it. And by the way, the judge knows she lied. And so her presence in the courtroom only benefits Trump, in my opinion. She's going to have such a short leash in that courtroom that I think it's a great day for Trump. I think the best outcome was keeping her on the case because she is damaged goods to that judge right now. He said that everything about what she did with Nathan Wade had the odor of mendacity, but he decided that none of it rose to a level of an actual and direct conflict of interest in the interest of the case. Just the appearance of a conflict of interest, which didn't rise to the standard. Odor of mendacity. Speaking of mendacity, there'll be a bunch of it coming up on Friday Mac Attack on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, I expect, and that's coming up next.
Two o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, a little bit cloudy out there, some mist coming down in Nashville, 68 degrees during this overcast. We got a weekend weather forecast coming up in 2 minutes. In Chicago, health officials have begun reporting their first measles cases in more than 5 years, and the outbreak seems to be centered on a migrant center. Sherry Preston.
12 measles cases have been confirmed at last count in Chicago, 10 of them at a migrant shelter on the city's Lower West Side. The CDC has been on the ground since Tuesday, helping the Chicago Department of Public Health vaccinate 900 people so far at that facility and others. Measles was considered eradicated in the United States 20 years ago, but thanks to more people coming in from other countries and a growing anti-vaccine sentiment, the number of measles cases has been rising.
Crime in Tennessee. Police are investigating a shooting that happened on I-24 last night east of Haywood Lane. Happened around 10 p.m. The victim of that shooting pulled over after being shot in the back while driving. Those shots came from another car, so there's no suspect description. Police closed 3 lanes of the interstate for the investigation until around midnight. And the Supreme Court has issued new rules on when it's constitutionally acceptable for government officials to block or delete things from their social media pages. Stephen Portnoy.
The case had the justices considering whether blocking or deleting posts on Facebook or other social sites violates the First Amendment when the blocker or deleter is a government official. The court's unanimous holding is that it depends, that when a post is deleted from an official's personal site, it's probably okay, but when that official makes formal government posts on his page, blocking or deleting is probably not okay.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and if you want a gift for St. Patrick's Day, I have a good selection at Savory Spice. I mean, believe it or not, they celebrate every holiday over at Savory Spice. Holly and David know how to do the decorations, and they know what you want when it comes to food items. So if you're thinking about a little corned beef and hash, they have something for you over at Savory Spice to make that happen. If you're thinking about a little corned beef and cabbage, which is what I originally meant to say, then they've got that over there too at Savory Spice. Whatever your need for whatever food you happen to be preparing for St. Patty's Day, they've got it at Savory Spice, and I want you to have it as well. Plus, you up your food game by upping your spice game, friends. You up your spice game at the locally owned Savory Spice. 2 locations. One's over in Charlotte Pike, L&L Market. The other in Franklin, just off the square. Go see Holly and David and their team. They're great at what they do. They have any spice you can imagine. Any spice you can imagine. Experienced chefs and the newbies, they all come into Savory Spice because they want the best. And you get it from Savory Spice. So you up your food game by upping your spice game. You up your spice game from the one and only Savory Spice. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice. Here we are, and here we go. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show, final hour of the week. Happy St. Patrick's Day weekend for those of you who are celebrating. Happy SEC tournament weekend for those of you who are enjoying the games. I believe Tennessee's on right now, if I'm not mistaken. And my wife's beloved Auburn plays at 2:30 or thereabouts this afternoon. She is no doubt all decked out and ready to go. I would expect that the Tennessee game is winding down as we speak. I believe that I have a newsman available for me on Super Talk 99.7 WTN who can alert me to what's going on currently with the Tennessee game. Hey, Mac Morey.
Hey, what's going on?
How's
Happy
it going,
Friday.
friend? I would have thought that you would have had some
I know
Tennessee,
I should have been wearing my orange. I feel worse today that I don't have my orange on because of this score. This is a travesty. You want to be playing your best basketball in March. Best team in the SEC. Won the SEC regular season.
Are they losing?
Losing by 18 now. 2 minutes to go. The game's, They were on a little bit of a 12-4 run to bring it down to 15 with 4 minutes to go. They were down they were down over 20 at halftime.
That's surprising.
So they will lose in the first round of the SEC tournament after winning the conference in the regular season.
What were they? They were expected to be a 1 seed?
They were either going to be a 1 seed
or
a 2 seed. Now it's for sure a 2 seed. You could probably start talking about them being a 3 seed depending on how the rest of this week goes, right? This weekend goes.
Sure.
Some things maybe could change. I imagine they're a 2 seed, though.
Man, oh, man. That's rough.
You want to be playing your best basketball in March. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that stinks.
Mm-hmm. And I will blame you for not wearing your Tennessee orange, for choosing to continue to celebrate the Kansas City Chiefs victory, which happened like a year and a half ago, it seems. But yet you still wear, Kate, I mean, what are we on, day 20?
23 days. 23 days straight.
You feel like you got another week or two in
I feel good. I haven't even ended my shirts. I still have more shirts.
Yeah, you got
still
hats to
has
go.
1,800.
Yeah, it's 1,800.
1,800. Okay, so this was set to be one of the worst Friday Mac Attack segments in the history of Friday Mac Attack.
That's not an exaggeration. That's an honest statement.
No, and I came in, I swooped in, and I saved it. And I'm going to tell you how exactly I saved it after we play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2:07. It's time for Friday Mac Attack.
It was going to be bad.
So because it's Friday Mac Attack, for those that don't know, let me catch you newbies up real quick. Rules of the road. On Friday Mac Attack, we have a draft every week. We pick a different subject, and we draft from said subject, whether it be, best television shows of all time or best serials of all time. The three of us draft. Once you take something off the board, nobody else can have it, and that's the way we do it. You're allowed to participate, 615-737-9986. We invite that participation on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. So Mac Morey's job is to come up with a subject because it's Friday Mac Attack.
Yeah. It's got my name in it.
It's your attack. You're the Cougar Chow in that intro. Would you like to tell everyone what?
So embarrassing.
Would you like to tell everyone?
So bad.
Would you like to tell everyone what your suggestion for our draft subject was today?
Let me preface. I'm tired. Okay, my creativity isn't
been a long
where it's.
week.
Yeah, come on. I mustered up a text around.
What a weak ass excuse.
I mustered up a text very cautiously, knowing that I was going to get absolutely dunked on to Bell and Matt around news, saying, "What if we drafted tennis shoe brands?" Just 20 minutes of us going Skechers.
I don't even know you.
I like Hokas. Hokas are nice. You know Hoka, guys? Hokas? Guys? Anybody? So suffice it to say that Bell and I were not impressed. And so I cautiously approached this.
You did. Very nice.
I said, what if we let the audience decide between, I don't know, tennis shoe brands, and my idea was best movie vehicle of all time. And McMurray immediately said, no, let's not.
No, let's not.
Let's not let the audience decide.
We're doing that.
Let's just go ahead and know that the audience is going to decide to do that.
So let's please not. Let's try and forget this.
So today, no TB. We're not. One of these days we'll draft MILFs. But today, that's what he said.
Will we do that?
No.
Thank you.
Got MILF?
No.
Got MILF.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I thought that said milk. Oh, that says something different. Oh, never mind. Chocolate milk, almond milk, soy milk. Now, have you replaced that with the other word?
That's what I thought you were saying.
Almond milk.
I was like, oh my gosh. You're like, we will draft that. I said we will?
Oh, no. I that's what I said at the beginning. That's what I did say that. I knew what I was saying. Anyway. Oh, Jason. Golly.
Gotta love Jason.
He just said something.
To me?
Yeah, no, well.
Okay.
I think it was designed to be a compliment.
Can I ask a question here? Because I just thought about this.
Okay.
Best movie vehicles ever.
Yes.
So that's more talking about the vehicle rather than the movie. Are we drafting like cars again, kind of in a way? Like
we're drafting best movie vehicles of all time, whether based on their importance.
Yeah. Okay, so this could encompass a lot of different things.
Yeah,
Could be the bus from Speed.
It could be the bus from. I mean, it could be. I mean, literally. I mean, you can draft that. The bus from Speed was integral to the movie. Important in the movie, so that's what we're doing.
All right.
Let's get a draft order.
Yeah,
Let's get a draft order. Let's go.
Woo! Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Bell.
Bell's number 1.
Bell.
All right. Ready?
1.
Yes. All right, I'm last. So the draft order has been set. Bell K goes first. McMurray goes second. Matt Murphy goes last. But I'm comfortable in my position.
This is a good draft for you.
I'm really good. I feel good about this draft already. I know I'm third. I don't care.
You gave me an idea for one on the break, by the way.
That's probably a mistake. That's why you shouldn't talk to people. Oh, the draft. Oh, the selection is in.
I like that. Picks in.
That when you hear the music, the selection is in. Bell K with the number 1 selection in the 2024 Best Movie Vehicle of All Time draft is.
All your Batmobiles belong to me.
Nice. Okay, yeah.
Dang it.
And we're just going to say Batmobiles.
Yeah,
we're not going to distinguish
each one.
between each one. Which is your favorite? The Tumbler?
No, I got to go with the original from the TV
Begins?
show.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, okay.
Just because that one's got that classic sleek 60s look.
That's not a movie, but whatever. That's fine.
Well, okay, then I go with the original one from the original Batman.
I'm kidding. That's a great selection. Obviously, fabulous toys that the Batman has. McMurray?
For the second pick in today's Mac Attack draft. Oh, that's heavy, Doc. Give me that DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's a classic. Yeah. Got to have the DeLorean from Back to the Future. That's a good one.
Great one. Great movies.
How fast do you go?
That movie saved that brand.
Because the DeLorean brand?
He was going to be known as a guy who got busted by the FBI for cocaine.
Right.
And now it's like one of the most famous movie cars ever.
And I know that there's a local angle here because Hey Vern, that guy, what was his name?
Jim Varney.
Jim Varney had a DeLorean, but I've always been told that the DeLorean is trash.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah, I've heard, heard
and
it's
then
pretty
it
bad
saved
car.
the brand and it made it cool. I mean, it was kind of cool, stainless steel. 88, by the way.
I was going to say 80. Dang it. All right. I was going to say 82.
82.
Yeah. Which
All
is
right.
weird because that's speeding, but
There's so many places to go here. There's so many ways to go here. So many different wonderful vehicles. But I'm going to go ahead and take this one because I think that the one that I would pick as number one normally, I think it's going to stay on the board. It's really my number one choice, but I feel like it's going to be there. I feel like it's a sleeper.
Yep.
And so I can wait on it. So I'm going to go in. The pick is in. My first selection in the 2024 Best Movie Vehicle Draft is the Millennium Falcon. Boom!
Wow.
Blow your minds, people! Your minds are blown.
It's pretty good.
The Millennium Falcon.
It's pretty good.
Don't look at me that way just because you didn't think of it.
Yeah, Bell's mad.
Bell's grumpy about it.
I thought they had to be.
It's a vehicle.
Okay.
It transports them from one place to another.
Fair enough.
All right. Bell's like, I didn't think we were doing quarterbacks. I didn't know that
I thought this was all about tight end. So it's my turn again?
It is your turn
It's
again.
your turn.
Speaking of tight ends, I don't know what that means. I don't really know what we're doing.
It's so close to quitting time.
I'm so tired. I feel like Dan Mandis at the end of a week.
We're all feeling that right now.
We're coming out of the coal mine.
Exactly.
Because everybody has wanted to steal their parents' car at some point. The 1961 Ferrari 250 GT California Spider from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
One. I brought that one up to Mac
It was
Moore.
going to be my next pick.
I brought that one up.
Did I just steal yours?
You stole mine, yeah.
That's especially good when you know that you took one from the other team. I like that.
It's a great car.
Absolutely a great car. And they made up a bunch of fake ones, obviously, for the film.
Well, they'd have to because they beat the hell out of it.
They beat the crap in back. The dude driving it. Oh, yeah.
Well, then at the end, when it goes out the back window.
Oh, yeah.
Please, sir. I assure you, it's in good hands. There he goes. All right, McMurray. Selection number 2 for you.
All righty. I'm going to go. This is one that I don't know. Murphy, this was one of the cars that I thought you might pick, but I don't know. It's from one of your favorite movies. It's one of my favorite movies, too. Give me the 1973 Ford Gran Torino, The Big Lebowski.
Okay, I love that pick.
Not what you were thinking.
I love that pick.
Okay.
For several reasons. One, because it's not the one that I was going to pick.
Great.
I was really worried you were about to pick the one that I was going to pick. But I love that. Classic film, one of my favorite movies, and a great car.
Yeah, especially in that movie because it's all beat up and crappy. It's like the worst car.
He puked. The homeless looks like a vagrant might have defecated in it. But not anywhere close to one of the top movie vehicles of all time. But this one is. It is the 1977 Trans Am.
Oh, yeah.
From Smokey and the Bandit.
Without a doubt.
I mean, the T-tops. And there's me looking like Burt Reynolds.
That car was
Sally
already
Field.
famous before the movie.
Oh, my goodness. Come on.
That movie just jacked it up.
And I held on to it. I felt like I could slip it through round one. I wanted to go with it on round one, but I wanted to get the Millennium Falcon out of the way because I thought he might, Jerky Boy over there might do the Falcon. But, yeah, I mean, come on. You got Frog in the passenger seat. You know why he called her Frog?
Why?
Because he's always hopping around like a frog.
Oh.
That was her CB handle, Frog.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great pick.
Bell, final selection for you.
Well, I'm going to go back to my first pick in terms of a bunch of choices from one motif, and I'm going to go with the Star Trek Enterprise.
The Star Trek Enterprise. That's good. That's good. Obviously, General Manager Bell K got some ideas from General Manager Matt Murphy from earlier round, but that's okay. That's
if you can't steal from the best, who can you steal from?
Me.
Oh, okay. Well, that too.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. The Star. When I was a kid, I was confused about where they were. Does that make sense? I've since learned,
like location,
like where was like when you saw the outside of the ship, like where was the bridge?
Well, that's why they always you would see them on certain episodes. They would zoom in through the top of the bridge, and then
later on, I got that, but I was always confused where they were. That's all. Same thing with the Millennium Falcon. I didn't really realize they were over there in the corner. All right, McMurray.
Figured it out. Got my pick. You guys stalled just enough for me. I was between 2 or 3, scrolling back and forth.
And we're doing it just for you, bud.
All right, I'm ready.
All right.
Pick is in. I'm going to go with...
Wait, hold on. Is the pick in?
The pick's in.
The pick is in,
I
Bill.
only do it once for each of us.
Oh,
interesting. Okay, my fault.
Ding, 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 diddling.
Nobody wants to hear that 9 times in a draft.
It's automatic. It's systematic. It's hydromatic.
Yes.
Give me
Yes.
the 1948 Ford Deluxe convertible.
Oh, yeah, that's a great choice.
Thank you.
What a great choice.
Thank you.
It's my understanding that it's a real bleep wagon.
Hey. Careful
That song was filthy.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
And most people don't realize how filthy it was. Go listen to the words
Bunch
of
of
that
high
song.
school students in shop class cursing.
All right, is this the last pick?
This is
in
the last
draft?
pick.
We could go so many different directions. I mean, since it's the last pick, I could tell you that I could go. I thought about going telephone booth in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
I thought about that one.
Dang, you were way outside the box for this. You've had 2 good drafts in a row, by the way. I've been keeping track. We can keep track. Last week was really good too. It ticked me off.
Thank you.
Hey, it's no shoe draft, but what are you going to do?
I mean, because with the telephone booth in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, you can travel in time. But my final selection, you can also travel in time. It's the hot tub in Hot Tub.
Yeah.
Time
I can
machine.
go with that.
Come on!
That's good.
We could have gone Eleanor and Gone in 60 Seconds, which is a classic automobile. I mean, we could just do automobiles. We could just do cars. Yeah. I thought about Christine. If you've never seen the movie Christine, it's based on the Stephen King book.
Okay.
Great film. Plymouth Fury it was.
Lotus Esprit S1.
You could have gone the Lotus.
From The Spy Who Loved Me. It was also a submarine.
Or, the DB5, the Aston Martin. DB5 from James Bond.
I'm surprised no one did that. Yeah.
There's just way too many to do. So there you go. There's Friday Mac Attack 220 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. United Structural Systems wants to remind you that if you have issues involving water in your home, they're not going to go away. I know you want them to go away, but they're not going to go away. USS knows this, and for that reason, they're here for you. Since 1994, they've been keeping homes stable and dry in and around the Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky areas, and I encourage you to call them if you notice issues. If you don't know what those issues might look like or what they might be, I've got some ideas for you. If you smell mold or mildew, if you have looked in your basement or your crawl space and you actually see standing water, that is a big red flag. Extreme moisture and drought conditions are the main cause of foundation failure. Soil swells during the wetter months, shrinks during the drier months. The fluctuation creates voids that allows settlement under foundation walls. Poor drainage can compound the situation. All of this leads to an issue with the foundation of your home. So, for foundation repair, for waterproofing, which often go hand in hand, or concrete leveling, there's only one that I would recommend, and it is United Structural Systems. Since 1994, they've kept homes stable and dry. Call today at 615-488-7855, 488-7855. That's 615-488-7855, or online at USSTN.com, USSTN.com.
Nathan Wade resigning, some news that may change how Americans buy homes. Find out it all. 2:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mac Morey. Friday Mac Attack just to concluding, and we've got so many of your suggestions on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. I'm going to run through some of those in just a moment. Nathan Wade has decided to quit after the judge's ruling, taking, the decision in some form or fashion out of the hands of Fani Willis. But one would suspect that they had discussed or have discussed the possibility of this decision and the possibility of the need for Wade's resignation. Fani Willis responds to Wade's resignation after the judge's ruling. And, you can expect that we understand. I mean, I don't know what the response is. I've not seen it as of yet, but that's ongoing. That's breaking news as we speak on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Some of your incredible responses to our Friday Mac Attack today. The subject matter, the best movie vehicle of all time. 68 Ford Mustang Fastback from Bullitt, Steve McQueen. That's a good one. Red October, from Hunt for Red October. Well, that's all well and good until I want to go to a Wendy's drive-thru. Of course, I'm kind of screwed there if I take my Millennium Falcon to the Wendy's drive-thru.
Well, you might be able to squeeze it in there.
Ooh, this is a good one. Statman says The Sled from Citizen Kane. Now, that's an old pull, but I love the film. Rosebud was a sled. And, that's a pretty good one. What about the Eagles from Lord of the Rings? Nerd.
Oh, dang, that would have been good.
Nerd.
Speaking of nerds, Bell told me during the break that he thought about picking Herbie from The Love Bug.
Yeah, but why did I say I didn't?
Because you said it was nerdy.
Well, it's because it was a kid choice. It was from when I was 5.
So I could have picked like a broom and Wizard of Oz.
You could have picked the car from. Let me make sure I say this properly. The car from Chitty Bang Bang.
You could have picked the bicycle that the witch rode on in Wizard of Oz.
You most certainly could have. I mean, you could have. Did you say the tornado, Mac? You could have picked the tornado.
Oh yeah,
the tornado took her to Oz.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking modes of transportation, which actually, now that I think about it, I probably should have limited the subject to just cars, and then we could have done other vehicles because that would have been a good thing too. We could have done Ecto 1. In Ecto 1, the Ectomobile from Ghostbusters, is that not what it's called?
Yeah.
Gran Torino from Gran Torino, the movie Bullet Car, the Beverly Hillbillies truck. That was a television show, but good try there. They're coming in too fast for me to read them. They're coming. Renee wants to do a bonus round. Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds, which is that was a Shelby Fastback. It was a Shelby Mustang, if I'm not mistaken. Blues Brothers Ride is a pretty good one. Wendy says Mark Murray. Mark Murray looks like he could have been in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I agree with you.
I'll take that.
Captain Nemo's Submarine, Optimus Prime. Can't believe you didn't pick that. The Rain Man 1949 Buick Roadmaster. Nobody selected the Mustang from Bullitt. I was the closest that we came to a muscle car with the Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit, which, I picked above the car from Bullitt. So there you go. And then Spaceship is a ship. Well, it's a vehicle. A ship is a vehicle. I mean, we could have picked a boat.
You could have picked a battle USS Nimitz.
I mean, if there's any fault, it's the fault that we were overly broad. But you know what? That's why we have Mac Morey making these selections for us on Super Talk 99.7. Oh, no, wait. He picked shoes. Real pick. If you had to go, best shoe of all time?
Yeah, I would have gone Jordan.
I mean, sneaker of all time? Best sneaker of all time? I would have gone Chuck Taylor's. Converse.
Yeah, it would have been a good one.
I'm right there I agree with Matt.
Yeah, but you would have had to pick someone. You would have had to gone like Skechers or something, Bell.
We're about to disown you anyway, so just quit.
Jesse is in Lebanon with a thought on TikTok. Hey, Jesse, how are you?
Hey, man. I'm good, man. I just want to say this is the first time I've had time to talk to you when I'm not on my lunch. I feel like we all come to life from our own, ingrained perspective. So I think you're honest and, trying to get somewhere in the middle ground. So I just wanted to say the gentleman congressman you had on earlier, is really misleading you about the TikTok forced call talking point. I'm on TikTok, so I know this prompt comes up. No one is forced to call. You can choose to call or not. And I just want to say, Fox time shift from the new series Star Trek.
I think I caught the last part of that. That was something about Star Trek, right at the last part. I lost you. No, Jesse, you're right. Now, Jesse's reflecting on a conversation that we had with Congressman John Rose at the beginning of the show. John Rose was among every other Democrat House of Representatives member that voted in favor of forcing TikTok to either sell off the company from their parent company, ByteDance, or they would be eliminated from American homes. 170 some odd million customers that currently enjoy the app would no longer be enjoying the app. By the way, in the interest of disclosure, I had the TikTok app on my phone and I enjoyed it as much as the next guy. You know, it seemed a little silly to me. I felt like it was a bit redundant in terms of where I was getting some of these stupid, silly, videos or whatever. And so I took it off my phone. I don't pretend that I did not have some of my information shared overseas. You try to make sure that information is shared in a limited fashion. And I asked the app, I did everything in my power so as not to expose the rest of my phone to the TikTok app, but because I could not be sure of that, I decided to get it off my phone. I would encourage each of and every one of you to do that. I don't think that TikTok is a smart idea for you. But I don't think a lot of things that are legal in the United States of America are necessarily a smart idea. We don't decide that government makes things illegal because they're dumb ideas.
Most of us would be in a lot of trouble if we did that.
Well, that's right. The government, though, says that it's not just that it's a bad idea, that it is a real and present danger to national security, that this is a real national security threat, and they will not tell us what that threat is. And for that reason, I do not trust our government, and I do not accept this determination. And I think it's wrong. Freedom comes with a certain level of risk. If you want ultimate and complete security, I can help us get there. But I promise you, you're not going to like the country you live in once we get there. Not a lot of freedoms involved in 100% security. 615-737-9986, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.232, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 66 degrees, a cloudy day with a chance of thunderstorms later on this afternoon in Music City. Got a weather forecast on the way. The prosecuting attorney who had a relationship with Fulton County DA Fani Willis is stepping down from his role on the Trump racketeering case following a judge's ruling today. Stephen Portnoy with the latest.
Nathan Wade says he's offering his resignation, quote, in the interest of democracy and dedication to the American public, and to move this case forward as quickly as possible. Judge Scott McAfee said if Fani Willis's ex-boyfriend didn't quit the case, the DA would be disqualified. In a letter accepting Wade's resignation, Willis writes of the threats and unjustified attacks that she says Wade has endured, adding she'll, quote, always remember how brave he was to step forward.
Some news that may change how Americans buy homes. The National Association of Realtors just announced it has agreed to pay $418 million to settle antitrust lawsuits tied to commissions. And they announced the 6% commission, a standard in home purchase transactions, is no more. It's expected to reduce the cost of buying and selling a home. The Brooklyn District Attorney's Office says no criminal charges are being filed against a 32-year-old man who shot another man during a fight on a subway train. This happened on Thursday. Dave Packer reports police say the man who brought the gun on the train entered the subway system illegally.
The gun used in Thursday's shooting on a New York City subway train was brought in by the victim, say police, who entered the system through an exit door. NYPD Deputy Commissioner Kaz Daughtry Friday says stopping fare evasion is key to stopping subway crime.
If you want to keep the system safe, the first thing you got to do is keep bad people out the system who don't pay.
Police saying they'll show empathy toward turnstile jumpers who don't have the means to pay, but will arrest those found with warrants or weapons.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
March is rebate time at the Safe House right here in Nashville, Tennessee. You can save hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a Browning safe, plus rebates of up to $500. That's totaling almost $1,000 in savings. And remember, there's never any sales tax on gun safes at Nashville Safe House. Mark and his team at Nashville Safe House want to make sure that they have the safe that's right for you and there's no waiting for delivery. That's why they stock the numbers that they do. They have every type of safe imaginable at Nashville Safe House. Gun safes, jewelry safes, home safes. It's what they do. You know, I don't like talking about the other boys because they're of no consequence. Really, there's no one in the industry that matches what they do at Nashville Safe House. But a lot of times, they got like 2 or 3 safes over in the corner. They're selling other products. They're not focused on safes. They couldn't find the combination with a flashlight and a compass. And they hire out third parties to deliver these safes to you. What are they doing? Allowing people that they don't know into your home? Are you comfortable with that? I'm not comfortable with that. That's why Mark and his team at Nashville Safe House, they never do it. Anyone that walks into your home has been fully vetted by Mark and his team, and they work for Nashville Safe House. That's what they call professional delivery. So let's get with it. Let's get that safe to protect you, your family, and your valuables by getting to Nashville Safe House for the month of March. Rebates galore. 4th Avenue South in Nashville, or go online today. NashvilleSafeHouse.com. That's NashvilleSafeHouse.com. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you about the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in beautiful Franklin, and they want to see you. The Dr. Gill Center can help you. Whether you hurt on your hip or your knee or your elbow or your neck or your back, upper or lower, anywhere you have pain, the Dr. Gill Center can assist you in solving said pain. They do it quite simply. They identify the pain. The initial consultation, by the way, is so easy. Make the call, make an appointment, go in, and for less than $50, they're going to give you a comprehensive examination, $49, comprehensive examination. They'll go over their x-rays, their findings. They'll take x-rays first and foremost and then go over those, pinpoint where it hurts, and then develop an action plan for you. And you'll have that action plan in place before you leave their facility in Franklin. That's what it's all about, is getting you pain relief. And I know that they helped me with my upper back. They helped me with my lower back. I'm about to go back and get a couple of sessions in for my upper neck area because I've tweaked something. And that's what's nice about the Dr. Gill Center, is that I can stop back by, I can make that appointment, and I can get it done, get pain relief without having to rely on popping pills, without the need for needles, and certainly without the consideration for surgery. I want you to do the same thing. Call the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief today. I believe that you'll be happy that you did. Their telephone number is 615-882-4838, 882-4838 for the Dr. Gill Center. If I seem discombobulated while I was talking about Dr. Gill, it's because I was. I blame Jay St. Clair. Because during that break, someone sent me a video of this Hannah girl from South Alabama that goes noodling all the time. And
she goes nude. What?
Noodling.
You had my attention there. Now you don't.
And, well, it depends on your definition of noodling.
Okay, fair enough.
And I couldn't get the video to stop playing. And so if you listen back to my advertisement for the Dr. Gill Center, you can see Hannah or hear Hannah in the background. By the way, E agrees with you, Bell. Herbie was a good choice. The VW bug and the love bug. A couple of decisions today, one from a court in Georgia, one from the United States Supreme Court, that have me concerned. The one in Georgia, let me tell you, I'm just going to recap this for you. The judge in the case said one of you has to go, but both of you can't stay. Nathan Wade has decided to resign his position as a special appointment by the prosecutor, the DA in the case, against Donald Trump. I believe this is a great day for Trump. It was a decision by the judge that while he believes that they were engaged in the odor of mendacity with regard to how they responded, that there was no proof certain that they were lying. In other words, in reading the case, and it's not very long. I mean, it's, you have to sit a minute to absorb it. In reading the case, it seems to me the judge indicated that while he believes that what the defense in this case is arguing is accurate, that they were less than truthful about when the relationship started, that it is very likely, if not possible or probable, that Nathan Wade was paying for these vacations at the time that Fani Willis claimed she was paying him back in cash. That's a rather convenient claim at this stage of the proceedings. While it is entirely probable that Fani Willis was financially benefiting from the fact that she appointed her lover, Nathan Wade, to be the special prosecutor involved in the case against Donald Trump, all of that doesn't rise to the level of proof. And while he believes that it is the case, it is still not proved.
Did he basically was he like an independent contractor that she brought in to help on the case? He's not like a state employee, right?
He is not.
Okay.
He is not. She hired him for the case and paid him a lot of money. And now he no longer works for them.
Why, and I don't know if you can answer this, but why would you hire an outside attorney when you could just get somebody in your own system?
I don't know why they did it that way. I think that has, I don't know.
Is that unusual? Do you know?
I don't know.
Oh.
In Georgia, maybe not. It might be that in these specialized, in a case this size, in such a specialized area of the law, I would assume what you're supposed to do is go and find experts in that area of the law. She did not. Nathan Wade's never tried a RICO case in his life. And In that respect, now that Nathan Wade's gone, she has to find someone to replace him. That's going to set the case back a little bit. I never believed that this case was going to go to trial before the election happened anyway, and now it almost seems certain that it will not. Fani Willis and her presence in the trial is actually a good thing for Trump, in my opinion. If you think about it for a moment, I think you'll agree. If you believe that the judge is somehow fair-minded, if you believe that the judge believes in equal treatment under the law, and if you believe the judge is not too impressed, and he made it clear that he was not too impressed with Fani Willis, using language like, odor of mendacity, saying that that there were a lot of problems in the ruling for the judge. Well, the top prosecutor's now quit, so she can continue. But you would have to believe that the judge in this case now has Fani Willis on a rather short leash with regard to what he's going to allow her to get away with in the court.
And it also puts her in a situation where she's going to second guess everything she does because it's going to be, is he going to believe this?
Well, right. Right. I mean, yeah. So, all of it is, the entirety of the case is under the shadow of a judge's belief that Fani Willis got away with something that she should not have gotten away with. So we've got that going on today. The other ruling, the United States Supreme Court ruled in a unanimous decision that they ultimately would not really make a decision on whether or not. So, right? That's what they decided.
That's exactly what they did.
They basically decided that they're not going to decide what constitutes a public space and what is not a public space when it comes to public officials, elected officials, and their social media accounts.
We think that might be true, maybe.
Right. Well, if they're acting in an official capacity, then obviously people have the right to see all of that. But if they're not, then they're private citizens and they have the right to do what they want to do. Well, for example, and I use him as an easy example because most people know the guy, this Justin Jones cat that blocked Bell K on social media on the X machine. How is Bell supposed to see what he does in an official capacity when he can't see what he does at all because he's been blocked? So it doesn't really answer the question about what constitutes the public square and what does not when it comes to social media platforms by elected officials. But they punted the case. So be it. Perhaps there will be another case asking a more specific or direct question of them, and they'll figure it out from there. One of the scariest things that I've seen that happened this week that we've not gotten to as of yet is the final story that I'll get to before we hand off to Brian Wilson in the drive, figure out what he's doing this afternoon. Have you seen the move by West Point?
Yeah, I saw that.
West Point Superintendent, Army Lieutenant General Steve Gilland, announced a new mission statement this week for the institution. The previous mission statement from West Point was as follows. I'm going to read you the mission statement that's been in place for I don't know how long. To educate, train, and inspire the Corps of Cadets so that each graduate is a commissioned leader of character committed to the values of duty, honor, country, and prepared for a career of professional excellence and service to the nation as an officer in the United States Army. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? I wanted to read it again. To educate, train, and inspire the Corps of Cadets so that each graduate is a commissioned leader of character, committed to the values of duty, honor, country, and prepared for a career of professional excellence and service to the nation as an officer in the United States Army. That mission statement has now been changed, according to Gilland, who indicated in a statement that he wanted to focus more on mission essential tasks. So he has changed the statement to read as follows. To build, educate, train, and inspire the Corps of Cadets to be commissioned leaders of character committed to the Army values and ready for a lifetime of professional excellence and service to the Army and a nation. Did you notice what's missing? They have now cut out as a mission statement of a cadet at West Point the concept of duty, honor, country. The 21st century has not turned out the way that I thought it would. I maintain that the best of the best come out of the doors of West Point. And part of the reason that the best of the best come through those hallowed halls, walk through those hallowed halls, is based on the concept of duty, honor, country, which is a foundational principle of the United States military. They tried to soft pedal it. Why are they changing this? The words duty, honor, country appeared in a Douglas MacArthur speech to the Corps of Cadets in 1922.
No, it's probably racist.
I mean, I guess. Why else would they change this? Why would they change this? They changed it to specifically exclude the words duty, honor, country. That's the major change between the mission statements. There's a reason they changed it. I guess the woke culture has gotten to our mission statement at West Point, too. We'll talk to a non-woke individual in the moment in the form of Brian Wilson. That's coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Winding down our portion of the broadcast day, handing off to Brian Wilson in the drive this afternoon from 3 until 7. Breaking news precluded me from getting to it, and I apologize for my audience. But what a great interview with Governor Bill Lee yesterday afternoon. I caught all of it, Brian. And one of the things that he said that struck me and stuck out at me is that he has no regrets over some of the aftermath of the Covenant School situation. You asked him the very, very pointed question about red flag laws, and he said, no, I think it was important to bring that question up. So I say that to say great interview yesterday with the governor, my friend.
Well, it was an interesting conversation, and it was one of many things that we covered. But I got to tell you, I've been trying to figure out, at watching Bill Lee, I like Bill Lee on a personal level, and I think he's a man of faith, and I think he's a man of intense compassion for other people, and I think that sometimes, however, that instinct, which is a good instinct in a human being, may not always be the best instinct as a politician. In other words, I think he sometimes goes with his heart when his head should tell him that this is not going to go anywhere. And that was the case with the red flag laws. But, I mean, you know, it's sort of hard to criticize a guy for being compassionate and loving people and reacting to his faith. But he doesn't have any issues at all with having put it forward.
No.
He felt like there were things that came out of that session that were good.
No, I think that's well said. Sometimes people are too good for politics, to put it that way. What's coming up on the drive this afternoon, Brian?
Well, we'll start out with Fannie Willis. A big announcement just a moment ago. Nathan Wade has stepped away from the case, and that and brings up a lot of other questions about what about Fannie. If you don't know, the judge said she could stay if Nathan Wade left. Nathan Wade has left, but now many people are calling for her head as well, that she should recuse herself. We'll get into all of that. And 2 rounds of Phone Your Farb Friday, because it's Friday, and we always do that.
Ever popular Phone Your Farb Friday edition is coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Can't wait for it. There's Brian Wilson. He's on the way right after Mac Maury's newscast, and Mac Maury's newscast is right now. Have a wonderful weekend, friends. Have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. We're back on Monday at high noon. Until then, hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.